Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So, the Bible says that people are tested by their praise. And so sometimes I call people gentlemen in my videos, but I'm not praising them. There's a reason I do that, and it has to do with being polite at times, trying to make it so they hear me out, what have you. So let's talk about their image game. What happens to the image of people they try to promote? Masons, fraternities besides college frats especially, military generals, what have you, right? People in suits, scientists. What happens to it, right? Their image. When they sabotage the wisest, best, and most deserving with LGBT harassment, with, financial sabotage, social sabotage, political, what have you. So let me give you 6 quick points here, and you should see that I'm right shortly. Point number 1 is the concentration camp effect, okay? AKA the gulag effect. When you put a bunch of people who don't deserve to be in a concentration camp or a gulag, regardless if there's people that do deserve to be there for whatever reason, okay? What happens? You look like a jerk. You look like a Nazi asshole. You look like a communist asshole, what have you. Versus the martyr effect. What happens when you martyr the top martial artist ever possible? He looks like the righteous person he is, and you look like an asshole. So wearing a suit and trying to be a pretty boy, trying to be quote-unquote handsome in the boundaries of Western thinking, it doesn't work. Right now there's John Kerry, George Bush, a young George Bush. Do they look good? No. Do people at Harvard and Yale and Stanford look good? No. Okay. People who try to use the contrast with people who are gay or are made to look gay by the left, one way or another, with technology or otherwise, do they look good? No. They look like oppressors, everyone else on a prison planet or something. Point number 2, the failed to fool them effect versus the honest sabotage hero effect. People don't like it when people try to fool them so they can get the hot chicks, what have you. And some females are still smart enough to notice and to think that their oppressor is a scumbag. Point number 3, the oppressor's neocolonist style and group effect. Okay, so when you have that kind of crest that symbolizes neocolonialism, okay, you have a suit in a certain way, that white privilege, token minority privilege, what have you. Okay, you look like an idiot. That's an oppressor group. It's neocolonialism. It's stupid. Versus the indigenous hero. Again, the indigenous hero can be, like I often was, in a t-shirt and jeans or a hooded sweater. Doesn't have to be dressed like some kind of a native person or African native or what have you. But you still see that contrast. Point number 4, the corny theater arts effect. When you start acting like the Bohemian Grove or something on this midsummer day, okay, in your own way on the spectrum, you play yourself out. Unless, of course, they've caused that with technology and you've called them out for it like I have. Because sometimes I come off propaganda-ish or something, theater arts-ish, church preacher-ish, and I've made it clear many times, and I'm making it clear again now, that they do that. That's not how I naturally talk. Even right now, there's fumes in the air. This is not how I naturally talk. Okay? Going back to the concentration camp effect versus the martyr effect. They look like idiots right now. I look good. Because I am good, and they are being idiots. Okay, so the corny theater arts effect versus mature in reality. So I'm saying, hey, stop being immature to the governing class, white, Jew, LGBT, token minorities. Grow up. Okay, changing my voice makes you look like bitches. And I'm telling the truth about it, and who would have thought that people believe me? I am the way, the truth, and the life. Grow up. Be like me, mature in reality. Point number 5. They're on the side of the pieces of shit that made jobs, schools, and cultures all miserable. Versus the hero trying to convince people to not reproduce scum. It's not reproduce at all at this point. And to stand firm for a sound system and sound cultures, etc. Point number 6. They are on the side of the scum who mass murder, mass rape, right, including kids, and ruin dating, etc. versus the morally precise hero, the ideal date. So, their plan to cover up all these things and more, mass drugging, mass exploitation, mass deceit, idolatry, on and on and on, lying about God, on and on, is to simply sabotage and martyr. Isn't that retarded? Can you imagine being that dumb? Which goes back to they failed to fool them effect. People, in their souls, in their hearts, in their being, unless they're complete monsters, are like, look, we're not stupid, you piece of shit. And only dumb fucks reproduce with the oppressor. If you don't know that, you are severely, severely mentally ill. So really quickly, let's talk about why it's wrong to insist on a system of white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacy. I was going to say this for another video, but let's shoot through this. Hopefully it'll only be a couple more minutes here. Point number 1. Racism is a toxic and vile evil that ruins families, rots souls, and makes lives not worthwhile. One can see it in a person, and when one couples it with wealth and social status, people still look evil regardless of how polite they are. So, if you're like Lex Luthor or something, you can't point to, the Klan and say, at least I'm not them. You still look like an evil, racist, cultural imperialist dog. If you try to play it off and try to be polite. How are we doing today? Yes. Hi. Okay. You look like a fake, lying-ass, evil person. It is nearly impossible for someone to cover up ill-gotten gains with politeness. That's why my second point is Proverbs 1:19. Such are the paths of those, or of all who go after ill-gotten gain, it takes away the life of those who get it. Again, such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain, it takes away the life of those who get it. Proverbs 9:16. Okay, after it talks about how folly is an unruly woman, she is simple and knows nothing. In verse 16 it says, let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense she says, quote unquote, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious. Again, water stands for the peoples, the nations, the multitudes, the languages. Food like bread is the presence of the people, etc. So the presence of their souls before they rot, the presence of God in them, right, they've removed. But little do they know the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. So as people go after ill-gotten gains, they become demons. Okay? So Folly's an unruly woman, she's a witch, she's a demon, she's a monster. Whether she pretends to be good, whether she's a nun, or whether she swears up and down she's a polite, nice, upper middle class female, right? She is a demon going after stolen things, deriving pleasure from pain, and trying not to think about that and stuff like that. But as she pursues it, as she goes down those paths of ill-gotten gains, little does she know, little does anyone following that path know, the masses of the people, little do they know that the dead are there. That they are in the realm of the dead as demons, as much as one can be while they're still in the flesh. Point number 3. Characteristics are not just words. They are components of a person that help people know if their lives are worthwhile. Why breed and form a system of white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacy and token minority supremacy and ill-gotten gains? Why do that? To do so creates nothing but people and offspring that are childish, immature, vile, evil, toxic, shallow, fake, cowardly, dishonest, greedy, selfish, stupid, hellish, naive, nightmarish, confused, trapped, self-serving, malicious, enslaved to evil, insincere, senseless, unnatural, cursed, wasteful, rubbish, snared, hopeless, profane, lost, demonic, bewitched, chaotic, disassociated, aimless, basic, and more. Thank you.